Good morning. Happy Friday. So, we're uploading our goals and our values and our primary question every morning. We are focusing on what we want. So, what's a lesson in terms of how to guide yourself? I think it's tough to know when you're supposed to pivot and when you're not supposed to pivot. There's story after story of people. Obviously, Thomas Edison, 10,000 attempts before he got the light bulb. So, should he have ever given up on incandescent light? No, of course not. But so when are you supposed to know? Well, I think for me, a Disney story is a great example of how you're supposed to follow all of that. And so some of you have been asking, hey, Tim, you should write a book. I think the name of it should be Everything I Needed to Learn to Be Successful, I Learned at Disney World. I love Disney World, and I have great experiences and stories from going there. First of all, it's, Walt. The guy himself was an incredible visionary. I don't think there's ever been a human being that didn't start a religion that is able to inspire his vision in more people than Walt Disney. Walt was able, even when he was alive, to have so many people be part of his vision. And when you go down to Disney World, his vision is there in everything. It's there in every flower. It's in every ride. It's in every cast member, every person that interacts with you. Whether you're buying a snow cone or they're checking you into your hotel, they are participating in Walt's vision. Walt died in 1971, 68, something like that. And to this day, that vision is still everywhere. It's amazing. But there's also some practical lessons that you can learn from Disney World. And one of them I learned on a ride called the Tower of Terror. And they're redoing this ride. It's based upon a Twilight Zone episode. And they're redoing this ride to be Guardians of the Galaxy. I know the one in California is now a Guardians of the Galaxy ride, and it's no longer a Twilight Zone ride. Apparently, the younger generations don't know the Twilight Zone, so we're going to go with Guardians of the Galaxy. So, my ex-wife and my daughter and I, we did 14 trips to Disney before Katie was, I don't know, I guess like 15. There was 3 or 4 years where we did 2 trips a year every year. And we loved it. We would stay for a full week, and we absolutely loved it. Well, this Tower of Terror ride, the setup of the ride is you're in an elevator. So you're in this kind of flat space that's got a little bit of festival seating. So it's like 5 rows that go up, 1 row behind you, and all you have is a lap belt, and you're on this cart, and they take you through a little bit of a thing, but then they put you in the elevator section of this ride, and it's pitch black dark, and you have no idea where the ride is going to go. Is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? It could start by going down. It could start by going up. And at some point in the ride, there's going to be this giant drop. And actually, at some point in the ride, there's going to be 2 giant drops. And one of the giant drops isn't actually a drop. They hold you up there and then they yank you down. They pull you down. My then wife and daughter loved this ride. They thought it was the greatest. I hated this ride. As we were flying on an airplane down to Disney, I would start thinking about day 2, and my palms would start to sweat because I knew on day 2 we were going to Hollywood Studios, and I knew that they were going to make me ride this freaking ride, and I just hated it. And they would ride it 4, 5, 6, 7 times. They would make me ride it once. I would ride it once, and then I would go sit, and there was a place that served beer right across, because right across from it was the Aerosmith Rock and Roller Coaster, which I loved. I loved that ride, and so I would go have a beer back when I drank and wait for them, and then I would ride the Aerosmith Rock and Roller Coaster like 15 times in a row. So after, I don't know how many times that we'd gone down, probably half of them. So let's say 6, 7 times. My daughter on the flight down, those of you that know me know my relationship with my daughter. She can get me to do anything. She said, Dad, I want you to promise me that you're going to let go and put your hands in the air during the ride. The ride, you only had a lap belt, which was one of the things that I didn't like about it. Most rides, you have a shoulder harness. And if I've got a shoulder harness, you can do anything you want. I can go upside down, I don't care how many times, because I've got that shoulder harness. So I know that you're part of the car. And you feel very secure. With that lap belt, you just don't feel very secure. And in fact, when they yank that ride down, you actually come off the platform that you're sitting on a little bit. And they've got these side handles, and most people would put their hands in the air, and I would grab these side handles, for my life. I was grabbing so tightly, it felt like I was going to pull them right off, and I would hang on to this thing while the ride happened. So on the flight down, my daughter kept on me, Daddy, you got to let your hands go. You got to let go. You got to let go. You got to put your hands in the air. The ride's better. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, whatever. The ride's better. The ride already terrifies me. I can't imagine that putting my hands in the air is going to make it any better. But she made me promise. So I'm like, all right. So now I'm going to ride this ride, and I'm going to put my hands in the air. So I'm 3 times as nervous when it comes time to do this. So we get on the ride. I put my hands in the air, and as we pull into the section where it's pitch black, and they've got the Twilight Zone guy, all of a sudden he's all around you, and he says, now you're in the Twilight Zone. It's all around. I just surrendered. I put my arms in the air, and I'm like, all right, you know what? Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And I let go and put my arms in the air and did the ride. Well, as you let go, what happens is when they take you up and they yank you down, when I would hang on incredibly tightly, that yanking you down was a very sudden, abrupt, and almost painful movement because it was so sharp, and it would pull on me because I was hanging on so tightly. When you put your hands in the air and let go, the ride actually became smooth because they would yank this thing down from underneath you, and so you would kind of float in the air and have this moment where you were suspended, and then the ride would take you down, and then when it would stop, you would kind of catch up, and then it would go up, and you know what? The ride became the funnest ride ever. Suddenly the ride wasn't jerky. Suddenly the fact that they were going to yank this thing out from underneath me at any point didn't matter because I was going to have this euphoric feeling of floating in the air, and then it would gradually pull me down, not so abruptly. And suddenly the ride became an easy, fun, incredible ride. I got off and I was laughing my head off because the ride just kicks your ass. This ride is so well done. It just absolutely kicks your ass. But it was incredibly enjoyable. And I looked at Katie and I said, thank you. And she goes, do you want to ride it again? And I said, absolutely, I want to ride it again. And we went around, and her and her mom were amazed. And then I explained to them, and I thought to myself, what a great metaphor for life. When we hang on too tightly is when it's never any fun and probably isn't going to work out, and in fact is terrifying. When we let go and have faith that it's all going to be okay, suddenly we're able to enjoy the ride. And that's the best advice that I can give you in terms of when do you pivot and when do you not pivot. You got to listen to your gut. And this is why meditation and these things are so important, is because when you put yourself in that situation where you're in that space where it's quiet, that's when the answers will come. And if you let go and have faith, suddenly life becomes a fun roller coaster as opposed to something jerky and terrifying. And that's how we all have to ride it. Life's going to have ups and downs. No matter what, you can prepare all you want, but every now and then something's going to happen that nobody prepared for, like a worldwide pandemic. And you can look at it as devastating or horrible or terrifying or any of those words, or you can remember your physiology and your language, and you can say, you know what? When I'm confused, I'm going to learn something, and when I'm frustrated, I'm going to have a breakthrough, and it's all going to work out in the end. If it hasn't worked out, it's not the end. Happy Friday, everybody. I hope that makes as much sense to you as it did to me. Thank you very, very much for watching and for all the comments. I'll say hi to everybody. Mr. Lampy, great to see you. Dolores, I get to see you this afternoon. Tammy, years back at FHN, they had a speaker come from a conference. He was a speaker from Disney. I was there at that speaker, and he was incredible. And I've actually used several things that he says. Maybe that's something I'll talk about tomorrow. Stacy, thank you so much for watching. Elizabeth, great to see you. Have a great day, everybody. We're all in this together. Let's take care of each other.